Update: my old high school classmate broke into my car, then robbed me and proceeded to spend a decade aggressively stalking me and making my life hell, so I got the ultimate revenge. Around Christmas time many years ago, 2 years after the stalking started, I figure the whole Craig thing is in the past. Bob and I decide to divorce on mutual grounds about the marriage not working and go our separate ways, and our friend Nick has long since moved out. We end the lease. I moved to a less desirable area, but with affordable rent. I settled on an apartment in a 4-unit building that had a locked entrance, and the only way in was with a key or with someone opening the door from the inside. I lived on the 2nd floor. By this time, I had graduated and was now a nurse and was working now at a nursing home. However, a few months later, the stalking started up again, with calls coming through to me at work, only to have someone hang up. Letters suddenly appeared in the staff-only mailbox, mailed to me with no return address. The mails were about me, about how I finally came to my senses and left Bob. The strange emails started up again from random accounts. The messages were never overtly threatening, but they were long and detailed. They were way too frequent and way too out there. This man, Craig, spoke to me as if we were long-lost friends and had some sort of connection with me. What I kind of seemed to piece together over the years from all his rambling is that he had some sort of crush on me when I was younger, and him happening to rob my car was some sort of sign from the universe or something that we were meant to be together. I call the cops, and they basically tell me that because there have been no threats in the mails he sent, and other than an oop or a cease and desist, there's not much they can do except watch and wait. This goes on for a while, and finally one night I wake up at 2 in the morning to the doorbell ringing. I'm instantly in a panic. I look out the window. There, illuminated in the floodlight, is Craig. I burst out crying. In my half-awake state I run across the hall and start banging on my neighbor's door. My neighbor was an older divorced guy who lived alone. He goes downstairs, confronts Craig, and tells him the cops have been called and he takes off. I file a report. They claim they will talk to him, but this only makes things worse. Friends I have on Facebook now start getting random messages from Craig, asking about me, telling them he has important information for me. Other times he alternates saying that I owe him money and I have a debt I need to pay off. My friends block him as he goes along. Meanwhile, my younger sister is living in the city with a few friends. He somehow finds out where, and drives to her apartment and confronts her while she has people over. She freaks out. They kick him out. She calls the cops, who basically again state that he didn't commit a crime but offer her a restraining order. Right after this, another incident. My younger cousin is a high school senior on the cross-country team. He shows up at my cousin's practice, and starts demanding information on me, and so the coach gets involved. Craig gets in a fist fight with the coach. The cops are called. He's banned from school grounds but nothing more. He calls the nursing home administrator at my job, asking him to talk to me and that he has important information to tell me. The administrator, my work, was now aware of the situation, tells him not to come onto the property or he will have him arrested for trespassing. At this point, I'm paranoid beyond measure. Then, just as quickly as it started, it faded off. This has now been happening for a total of 6 years, leaving me pretty depressed and miserable the whole time. A friend of mine named Stacy moved in with me temporarily while she looked for a place. She was dating a guy and spent quite a few nights at his place. One day, I picked up a double shift, starting at 7 a.m. and ending at 11:30 p.m. Stacy texts me around 3:30 p.m. stating she won't be home that night and was going out with her guy. I arrive home at almost midnight. First thing I notice is that the door is unlocked. Uneasy, but thinking perhaps Stacy had just forgotten to lock it, I cautiously peered inside. I pan my gaze to the kitchen and living room. I can't shake the feeling that I'm unsettled. Something wasn't sitting right. Due to all of these incidents, I always made sure that 1 or 2 lights were on, even when we weren't home. I was still not even fully in the door when I noticed that I was staring into a pitch-black apartment, and immediately my brain went into full panic. And I'm glad it did. Realistically, Stacy could have forgotten to leave a light on, but my instincts were in overdrive and sounding off 5 fire alarm bells. My Puerto Rican neighbor who lived in one of the building units was known for his weekend parties, and I could hear a party going on downstairs. I book it down the stairs and bust into the party and I tell him what happened. He looks at me like I'm crazy, but agrees to come upstairs with me. We get inside. He looks around. We see nobody. I'm starting to wonder if I'm just nuts. Maybe Stacy had her boyfriend over and they left in a hurry, forgetting to turn on the lowlights and lock the door. He agrees with me, and sort of jokingly pulls open the pantry door. What I saw next will never, ever leave my mind. There, crouched inside, is Craig. Puerto Rican neighbor starts laying into Craig. I call the police. To this day I have no idea what he planned on doing. Cops come out and he's arrested. Because my neighbor was having a party, he had the door open to the alleyway. Chances are, he just walked into the building, and people would just assume he was there for the party or whatever. It's more confusing how he got into the apartment itself. He ended up being charged and convicted of aggravated stalking, breaking and entering, and some other charges. I did meet his parents in court, who were both, shockingly, very normal and apologetic people. They tried explaining their son. They claimed he was mentally ill and suffered from bipolar disorder. When he's medicated, he's okay. When he's off his meds, he's nuts. After he served time, I did not hear from him for years, until 2 more years later when he found me on Facebook. I replied to him very firmly that any contact would end in the police being called, and that I had no interest in him at all. I blocked him in any way I could. Recently, he found my new husband on Facebook and friended him. He blocked him as well. To this day, I still have a paranoia. I have an acquaintance monitor him on Facebook. His page is not private, and from what I have seen, he appears to go through periods where he is pretty inactive and then episodes where he is rambling, overposting, oversharing and acting generally deranged. I believe his parents were telling the truth when they stated when he's medicated, he is okay. Part of me feels bad for him. I'm older now, and I've been a nurse now for almost 10 years, some of which time was spent in a psych specialty. One of the other fallout from this situation, Craig either sold, lost or gave away my social security card that had been in my purse. Someone tried to file for Medicaid benefits in Arizona using my name and social, as well as obtained a job using my social and failed to pay any taxes, leaving me with a surprise asset freeze by the IRS and a whole financial mess that needed to be untangled before they unfroze my accounts and paid me back the money they started to pull out of my paychecks for the back taxes I had nothing to do with. My credit got extremely messed up for years because of it, and to this day, I have a lock on my social security number and monitor my accounts like a hawk.